Did he and his wife have a pretty great relationship?
I mean, yeah, because she bribed British officials to put her husband on parole in Connecticut until the war ended with his kids.
Did she ever remarry while her husband was in prison?
She spent the remainder of the war alone and took care of the family home. It was believed that empty homes were at greater risk for destruction and abuse.
What did she do as a spy?
She was assigned by Abraham Woodhull to signal Brewster's arrival.
How did she do that if she was a spy as well?
She would use her clothesline to send signals to Abraham Woodhull. She's pretty creative.
How did she do that exactly?
Well, she would always hang something different. If she hung a black petticoat, it meant Brewster was in town. Abraham Woodhull counted how many white handkerchiefs were on the wash, and he knew which one of the 6 covers Brewster was in.
This woman is crazy, but smart. Wow, and she never got caught?
I doubt it, because she eventually ended up dying without being imprisoned.
Wow, she was pretty heroic. Did she ever get back to her family?
Yes, her and her husband were reunited after war and had another kid, George Washington Strong. When they died, they were both buried in the Smith-Strong family graveyard on Cemetery Road in New York.
Well, that was a pretty great talk to start off our discussion today, don't you think? Now, why don't we talk about another female spy in the American Revolution?
Agent 355, whose name is not known to this day. She was one of the first American undercover operations officers.
Does she have a nickname?
Her nickname was Hidden Daughter of the American Revolution. Agent 355 is an encrypted code name for lady.
Why would they give her a code name?
It was given to her to protect her work and life.
Was she as crazy as Anne?
Well, she certainly lived a crazy life. Not only did she get arrested, she gave birth while she was imprisoned.
Where and when was she imprisoned?
She was held captive on a boat named Jersey in October 1780.
Why?
Because she wouldn't give out any information on where her husband was.
Wow, she's loyal. Anna sent signals to Abraham Woodhull. Who did Agent 355 report to?
She reported all the way to the Commander-in-Chief and our future First President, George Washington.
What were some of her accomplishments?
She exposed Benedict Arnold's role in the surrender of the West Point, and she helped in arresting Major John Andre, the head of England's intelligence operations in New York.
How did she obtain her information?
She would go to parties and conversate with others, and she'd find information about people. That is how she knew about Benedict Arnold.
Who knew that gossip would come in handy during the war? Was she married?
There were rumors going around that she was common-law wife of Robert Townsend, who was the head of the Cooper spy network. And it was said that she had a son whose father may or may not have been James Townsend's son, Robert's brother. When she died, her husband
Because they were being taxed with foul representation. Now, wouldn't you be irritated as well? The British soon passed down a parliament called the Tea Act that consisted of the colonists being taxed for every tea load that was brought into the port, especially the Boston harbor. The British passed this parliament to assist the East India Company and help them overcome the verge of bankruptcy. The East Indian Company had cheaper prices on their tea compared to the Dutch, who smuggled the tea. The East India Company also had many colonists who actually benefited from this act. Ironic, isn't it? These colonists became agents for the actual company, but other colonists, in fact, were outraged by this act. They believed they were being deprived of their freedom and freedom of speech. America. Even though the prices of tea was cheaper compared to those of the Dutch, the colonists in which who smuggled the tea into Northern America now did not have the convenience of making a profit, causing disagreements and disputes in which soon led to include the Sons of Liberty. On December 16, 1773, a group of about 60 colonists were most likely motivated by a famous Sam Adams. Sam who? Sam Adams. The several thousands of townspeople dressed themselves as former Mohawk Indians and mounted 3 ships that belonged to the East Indian Company. These men soon began another act of rebellion by dumping more than 10,000 worth of East Indian Company merchandise into the harbor. the Boston Harbor, of course. The colonists did not end there. Many of them boycotted the coast of North America where the company traveled through. You will not take our freedom. You will not, we declare. The British, not knowing the right way in which to approach the situation, they passed down another parliament, as if the last one worked so gracefully. What is the vacuous spay ring?
Well,
I don't know if I pronounced the word right. Excuse me. Excuse my French.
fatigue spiring.
Okay.
Ring employ man and woman and base its operations in New York and Long Island. Its activities were on a small scale in 1778 with Abraham Woodhull, Alice Samuel Cooper doing most of the New York snooping. So yeah, Abraham, you were in there low key.
Okay. Alrighty then. I hope that answers your question, Abraham Mercado. And I have another question coming from Abraham Mercado. He another question that he asked was, what did the commander of the spy ring need to know to be like commander? Like what did he know?
He needed to know the sizes and numbers of the vessels in the harbor and how they were protected, the number of men guarding the city and how they were deployed, descriptions of forts and redoubts that had been built by the British.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he needed to know what was going on. Basically.
Yeah, he needed to know
so
what was going on.
If something was happening, he had to be on top of it.
Okay,
because nothing had to slip or stick.
Yeah, okay. And I have a question coming from Caroline for Brittany. And she's asking, who was Nancy Hart?
Well, that's a really good question, Caroline, because Nancy Hart, she was a Confederate scout. She was a guide and a spy. She would carry messages between the Southern armies. She circled around as
Smallpox Vaccines and the American Revolution by Yana Davis, Brianna Floor, and Shani Edwards. Smallpox is a highly contagious disease caused by the variola virus, and it leaves permanent scars. An estimation of 3,000 men of the Northern Army were sick with smallpox. Washington faced a difficult choice whether or not to inoculate his army. Inoculating the soldiers would cure the disease and help them survive. His other option was to separate them and have them treated. However, if the British attacked while the men were out of the commission, the army could be destroyed.
George Washington was 19 when he first got the disease during his only trip away from the American mainland in 1751. The illness only lasted a month and only left him with slight scarring.
Soldiers arriving from England and Germany frequently brought smallpox to American shores. In addition, recruits from all over North America joined the Continental Army, increasing the scope of the disease. Within days of taking command of the Army Cambridge, Massachusetts during the summer of 1775, Washington wrote to assure the President of the Continental Congress that he had been particularly attentive to the least symptoms of the smallpox. To avoid further spread of the disease, Washington sent 1,000 smallpox immune troops to occupy Boston. To be continued.
It's only a car. A car is a car is a car.